Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this afternoon I'm joined by Chris McElwain. We are here to discuss Hearts 2 Celtic 0. Chris, couldn't have gone much worse today. I know that there was things racking up against us, but you know we were the architects really of that defeat today. It all opened up for us over the weekend. Go out there, get a win, and you'll be sitting top of the league. We're still 2 points behind. Where did it all go wrong?
Where do you start? I mean, look, there have been times this season where I've been pretty critical of the team and their performance, and rightly so. You know, I think there've definitely been occasions where we've just not hit the standards, and I think today there were elements of that. But when you take into account the combination of factors, the missed penalty, you know, it's what ifs, right? I mean, my granny wheel should be a wagon, but you know, some you score, some you don't. The sending off, I think, I'll stick to my guns. I think it was a poor decision, and I think, you know, playing with 10 men for the duration that we had to is difficult for any team. And a dreadful penalty decision, which puts us on the back foot to the point where we're then chasing the game. Second half, my feeling was that if we could keep the score just to 1-0 and try and build some chances, then we could get back into it. I expected Hearts to kind of come out early. And unfortunately, they were able to extend the lead, which was what I was worried was going to happen. Now, what I would say, in that second half, we created some chances, even with 10 men, tired legs. I think you could point to a lack of quality on the bench, given how late it took us to make changes. I know we brought Keel on at half time for Bernardo, which I still think was the right change to make. Because I thought Keel actually, well, and I'll accept maybe possibly weakened elements of the defensive side of midfield. I think he was one of the more creative forces in that second half, and actually led to some of the better chances that we had. But yeah, look, you've got to take your medicine. You know, as Celtic fans, we don't hide. We'll take it on the chin. And the way to look at it, right, a lot of people will be saying, look, this is a missed opportunity. You know, Rangers lost yesterday, rather. So this is a missed opportunity for us to go back top of the league. Well, actually, you know what? Yesterday was a missed opportunity for Rangers to extend their lead. Right, we're still in this. We still have the opportunity to go to Ibrox, play them, and win and go on and win this league. So look, let's not take a knee-jerk reaction. We didn't play well today. There were a lot of factors against us, a lot which were out with our control. I think the work ethic and the effort today was pretty good overall. Still concerns about lack of basic quality and some of the fundamentals went there. But panicking? Nah, not this boy.
Well, the thing is, obviously, every game is poured over straight on the final whistle here, Chris. It has been for this is the fourth season in a row. And I'm not a cheerleader. If I see something that I think is really poor, if I see a gutless performance like the corresponding fixture against Hearts at Celtic Park last year, you call it out. You call out the poor performance, the poor decision-making, the heartless, effort and endeavour. I'm not feeling the same today. I'm not going in studs up, not because I'm urging everybody to calm down. I just didn't see the same type of performance today that we did at Celtic Park, which was extremely worrying because we couldn't create. We were bereft of any kind of ideas. We were booed off the park, rightly so, because the performance was so poor. Rodgers came out afterwards and spoke about, I'm not surprised with that performance. Today was a completely different set of circumstances, right? And I think that we've got to take that into account, because after a defeat, you're always emotional as a Celtic fan. Of course you are. But you've got to temper that way. What actually went wrong today? And let's break it down. Was it due to performance? No. The last time it was. The performance was dreadful last time round. Yeah. It wasn't due to the performance. It was due to a number of other factors that put us on the back foot. We couldn't recover from it. And if you're sitting there when we get 4 minutes added on at the end of the game and that's announced, you're sitting thinking, right, we need 2 goals to get anything from this game. Yeah, we created chances. I think that maybe in the comments people will be saying Rodgers should have made more substitutions to try and craft open the Hearts backline because they were to be got at. Maybe that's a criticism that we could make at the manager. But let's have a look at some of the thoughts coming through. Stephen Sloan actually mentions this, only 2 subs used, and we've been down to 10 men for most of the game. The players are exhausted. Why isn't Brendan freshening it up? That came in, of course, before the full-time whistle. Yeah, you're looking at the bench, and there's a few options there, I guess. And you think to yourself, maybe that is one thing, but the way the game went, it's a tall order to expect the changes in the last 10, 15 minutes to score 2 or 3 goals. Green Lichty, someone tell me how Cochrane hasn't at least been. But I think eventually he did, but yeah, he was walking a tightrope.
85th minute, I think he
was walking a tightrope, exactly. And sometimes these yellow cards, Chris, are given in the last 5 minutes of the game when they're not going to harm you as an opponent. Here we go. Joe Fulham's not mad about the story Celtic are writing. Listen, there's plenty of time. I'm going to say that in terms of positives, if you want to grab a positive from this weekend, I think that in the last 2 games, Rangers have shown everybody was getting, in the Scottish press, was getting a wee bit carried away with himself, thinking that they were some kind of invincible team and the gaffer was infallible and that they were this phenomenal. What the last couple of games has shown me, they struggled to get past Kilmarnock and they were then defeated at home against Motherwell, is that they're going to drop points and it's not just going to be against us because, I think the thought process was we need to win every single game, including the 2 derbies, in order to win this league. Really? Because they're not great. They've shown that in the last couple of games. The comeback might be, we're not great. We got beat off Hibs. We've got a man sent off. We've got a penalty against us, right? Which no one's going to convince me it was a penalty. No one.
No.
Awata is not in control of what he does with his arms when he's colliding with his own player mid-air and he's coming back down to a resting position. That is a natural body position. If you want to look at that in isolation, that was a dreadful decision by the officials. I'm also going to bring this up because Red Scotland, you're not short in giving us stick on Acsom over the years. I withdraw my support for all things Celtic. Done at that. Well, what I would say is I would never withdraw my support for Celtic. We will always be here for every single game, win, lose or draw, and every single day for the last 4 years. So when criticism comes our way, I'm bringing this up. I'm saying, come on, pal. We've got beat against Hearts. 2 points in it, 2 games against Rangers, plenty to play for, Chris. I mean, you can't take that attitude when it comes to Celtic.
No, look, I get it. It's right after the game. People are emotional. Look, Red's, probably a dying will supporter. So there's no, fine. I get it, right? But see, for me, Celtic's more than just what you see on the pitch. It's the fans, it's the club, it's the community, it's the charity, it's everything that sits behind it. Look, it's one game. It's one game. Things haven't gone our way. Some of which, we probably, as you've said, Paul John, we were the architects of either early in the season and even during this game today. But look, nothing's changed from a few days ago. Nothing's changed. We're still the same amount of points behind. Probably, I think we dropped maybe 2 goals, potentially a goal further down in terms of the goal difference. So hopefully that doesn't come into play. But points-wise, nothing's changed. Just call it a free hit this weekend. We got away with one. We actually have got away with one because Rangers themselves bailed us out yesterday by failing to beat Motherwell. So for me, we take it on the chin, we hike our trousers up, and we get on with it. That's what we do. It's the club will recover from this. When you've lived through watching Rangers get 9 in a row, and you see players come and go, and you see managers come and go, and all that sort of thing, and then you get a big period of success, you appreciate it. But you also understand it doesn't last forever, right? And we're now in a title fight with 2 teams, by the way, that I don't think are as good as they could be or should be. But we're still in this. And actually, this is still very much in our control. If it means we have to go to Ibrox and get the result, well, do you know what? Those are the games you've got to get up for. Win the title by beating Rangers. Hey, I'm up for that. Let's do it. So yeah, look, I'm not happy. I am not happy with the performance today. I'm not happy with the result. Really disappointed the fact we couldn't take advantage of Rangers' slip yesterday. But it's one match, and this title race is still very much on. So
100%, and all the Union Jack emoji users in the comments section. Strange how they weren't here at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, must have got up late today.
I'm firing the bands out as we speak, so call them out, obviously, because you're not talking much sense. We're here to talk about Celtic, and there's plenty of comments coming through, and I'm keen to hear your thoughts on today. Stephen Sloan, Iwata on a yellow, and he's fouling players, yet Brendan didn't take him off until 78th minute. Hearts distribution was pretty poor today, I thought. Throwing and kicking, giving the ball away needlessly when you're down to 10 men. You've got to really just keep possession. Alex Duffy, we are gutless and pathetic. I don't think so, Alex. No. Not on that performance. If this was after the 2-0 game at Celtic Park, I get it. That was really worrying. But today, there was so much to discuss in relation to things that went against us, didn't go our way. And as you say, Chris, right, and it's not being an ostrich and it's not being a cheerleader. Nothing changes at the top of the league. Nothing changes at the top of the league. We can still win this league on our own terms. We need solid, tough bullying midfielders, but instead Rodgers puts in 4 tiny Japanese players. Iwata's not a tiny Japanese player, I'm afraid, and he's the strongest guy in the squad. Today wasn't about being bullied. It was about getting a man sent off. It was about a penalty kick that was never a penalty, and then not being able to recover from it. The second goal in the second half there, Chris, that was it. Final nail in the coffin. Up until that point, you're still in a game.
It was always a risk, right? If you're chasing a game, you're chasing a goal, you're going to leave yourself open at the back, and it's about being as disciplined as possible, and trying to just maintain a status quo and then give yourself a chance to go and win. And yeah, I thought that goal was a killer. But as I said, we still created chances after that. There's a great one from Ida with the ball over the top from Kyogo, which I thought was a great pick. Something Ida put in a great cross, something he's not really known for, but he put in a great cross that we just couldn't get anybody on the end of. Again, the one, the rebound from Ida's shot, which was well saved, and then, O'Reilly's firing it through a sea of players, and, sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. So we had good chances in that half. At no point did our guys down tools. Now, to the last comment there, I wouldn't say bullying. I think, certainly today we didn't really win many of the second balls or the second chances, and maybe you give credit to Hearts for that. They did flood the midfield. They did have guys, high pressing and pressing against us. That's fair enough. Maybe that's something we need to learn to deal with. But look, ultimately, this is a group of players we've got to utilise between now and the end of the season. I think Steve Sloan makes a good point when he talks about the late changes. That, for me, is actually more of an indictment about the quality and the depth of quality on our bench. When you're bringing Daniel Kelly on, who I think, again, put himself about and, praise the kid for effort, but, it's a tricky one to come in and make a difference on. But we do need to improve our squad going forward, but we don't have the chance to do that between now and the end of the season. So between now and the end of the season, this is it. These are the guys we've got to work with. So we need our manager to get that winning formula. We need things to go our way in terms of, maybe we keep it in control. Let's not make decisions easy for the refs, right? I mean, I'm not going to accuse any ref of bias, right? It's pointless, whether I feel that way or not. But there is a level of incompetence there that if we give them a situation, 9 times out of 10, I don't think they're going to make the right decision, and it's very rarely going to be a decision that benefits us. And before anyone jumps in and says, Hearts got 1 disallowed today. Well, it was rightly disallowed. So I'm not going to take that as luck. It was a fact. The boy was offside. So sorry. So for me, we need to back the team. We need to back the manager, whether you like him or not. And I'm not Brendan Rodgers fanboy. But we need to back this team now to the end of the season. And look, see if we don't make it, then we'll judge a manager and we'll judge the players, right? But see, from now and the end of the season, we're still in a position where we can win this. Let's get behind the team.
Yeah, and having fun in the comments section. Keep calling them out. Lots and lots of time wasters coming in with nothing better to do on a Sunday afternoon. Obviously, reacting to the fact that we enjoyed them getting pumped at Ibrox yesterday. Honestly, league didn't get winning in March, mate. Come on, get a grip. Right, here we go. Some more points coming through. We've got David Boyle. Great to see you, David. You're commenting on the YouTube. I hope you're well as well, pal. I can accept defeat today because the team fought as hard as possible. Harsh decisions and no luck. We must keep going. Listen, this hurts. Every single defeat always hurts, Chris, but that is the way I'm viewing this. That is the way I'm viewing this at Tynecastle. And if we came away from this and we were 5 points behind, I'd have been far more concerned. But in terms of the position we find ourselves in, nothing has changed. And I think that Brendan Rodgers, there's going to be people in the comment section where the mind's made up it's all going to be on him. I'm going to bring some of the comments up for balance, but I'm going to give you my take on it as well. We've got Jogvi. I think this is as low as I felt about a team since Mowbray, but honestly, I think we win without a needless red.
That's fair.
These are the moments. It's moments in a game. It's moments in a season. We've gone into this game today. What's been missing? Well, the captain for a kick-off, right? So we go in, and I think we're doing well. We're doing fine. Then we get the sending off. You're right up against it. And then you're thinking, well, if we get to half-time, then you can make your tactical changes and hopefully come out again in the second half. And, of course, the only goal that separated the sides at half-time, dubious penalty. So, yeah, you can criticise the players, you can criticise the manager, and many will. But I do think that there was mitigating circumstances today, hence the reason I'm not kicking off and going in studs up. Yeah, not everybody was on it. We'll talk about that as well. I think that, when we're praising somebody like Ida for scoring goals and his assists and everything, I would like to praise him today because he had the toughest job on the park for me today, Chris. He was tireless. He was up there on his own, chasing everything down, lasted the full 95 minutes, tried to get into the areas right to the very death, had a couple of half chances. Right, so you get remembered for your goals and all the rest of it. I made the point at the beginning of the game about Matt O'Reilly, about the fact that, a lot of the work and the stuff you're doing off the ball isn't really praised, particularly when you don't get the result. And I think Ida was in that category today.
Yep.
Mickey Boy 80 today was really disappointing. The sending off completely changes the game. It does. I don't blame Yang at all. Well, I mean, the referee obviously gets called over to VAR and the decision is made at that point. And I think that, it's the same when you're looking at that handball for the penalty and it goes to VAR. Someone said at halftime, don't give them the opportunity. These things are going to happen. We're going to be at the mercy of somebody sitting behind a screen. But I still, even if you've watched that a dozen times, I can't see how that's a penalty kick.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I think this is the frustration thing is we need our players to be just a wee bit more savvy, right? Savvy's the word.
Savvy is, yep.
A wee bit more savvy because at nothing each, and you do something like that and you give the referee a decision, there's a really good chance it's not going to go your way. Right? So stop putting things in the hands of referees or VAR or, decisions like that. Control what you can control, right? And influence what you can influence. If Yang had been sent off when we were 3-0 up in the first half, for example, we wouldn't be, we'd probably barely be talking about it. And then, if they get a penalty or a dubious penalty, the impact is lessened. But because these things are happening so early on, and then they get the knock-on effect, and missing the penalty was a big moment as well. Where we were immediately then susceptible to something like that happening. But for them to then get that penalty, I mean see the biggest endorsement of that not being a penalty is the fact that Chris Boyd said it wasn't a penalty at halftime on Sky Sports. So that for me rubber stamps it, right? If he's saying that's not a penalty, Celtic, had a penalty against him, it wasn't a penalty, and it's coming from him on live TV. I don't need to say anything else on that, do I?
No, you don't. And I really am keen to get comments. People who are commenting legitimately on the show, anyone who isn't and is here just for the bam up, give us a shout because I've banned quite a few of them already. Here we go. Really keen to get these comments in. I'm going to start off with Brian. You're on the YouTube channel. Awata is looking in the opposite direction. He's nudged in the back. He's fallen forwards and the ball bounces off another player 1 yard away. Absolutely shocking decision. But I'm going to bring this up as well because, Gary, we're not hiding behind bad refereeing decisions. It's part of the game that gets discussed after every single match, good, bad or indifferent. We also had a dodgy penalty, which we missed, so it didn't affect the game. I'm not forgetting that. We spoke about it at half-time. We're speaking about it at full-time. Hearts had the goal disallowed, so did Celtic. And it was disallowed because it was offside. So we're not stopping any nonsense. We're not hiding behind bad refereeing decisions. The goal was disallowed because it was disallowed, as was Celtic's. We got a penalty. You could argue that all day. We missed it. The game changed with the sending off and the penalty kick. We're going to speak about both decisions, Gary. We always do. So it's not about hiding behind bad refereeing decisions. Bad refereeing decisions can cost you a game, can cost you a goal, can cost you a title. And we are going to be talking about it every single week when it's quite clear that these were the wrong decisions. Coffee, running up and down the park doesn't score you goals. Ida did well, yeah, okay. No, it might not score you goals directly, but what it does, it creates space. It creates other people to move into pockets of space and then create chances, which then ultimately can score goals. So I think when you're looking at a performance, for example, Matt O'Reilly getting criticised the other week, you've got to look at what he is doing well. You've got to look at the positive elements of the game that isn't just an assist, isn't just a goal. And I think highlighting that with Ida today showed a different part of his game, which was work ethic. It was working their defence. It was closing their defence down. And in doing so, and again, I think actually him and Kyogo worked pretty well together, and the Prophet mentions that as well. They've got to play Ida with Kyogo. I think it worked really, really well. Here we go. We've got Neil Lennon coming in. Is it the Neil Lennon? Who knows? No Siamese cat on his avatar. Decisions decided that game. Disgraceful. 10 men created chances and their goalkeeper makes the saves. Yeah, let's not forget the saves. Brilliant saves by Clark throughout the game. Players did show fight. We will win this league. Neil, you're talking my language, and thank you for supporting the channel as well. And we've also got Ewan Boy Martin. Dunoon is green and white. I like it because Ewan Boy was losing a wee bit of faith in Brendan over the last few weeks. Ewan and I have got a big announcement to make, which will be made this week as well, in relation to Dunoon and Acsom. Boheed Bob, all good stories have a bit of drama. Onto the writing, the next chapter. Yeah, you're correct. Let us know as well, because we're obviously live here, Chris and I. We are not able until after the event to hear Brendan Rodgers and what he's got to say. What do you think Rodgers' mood's going to be after that game, Chris?
I mean, it'll be disappointed, obviously, but I don't think you'll necessarily see the kind of apathetic Rodgers that we saw earlier in the season. I mean, I think he'll be frustrated with the decisions. I would be surprised if he throws any of the players under the bus today, because I think the players, look, they didn't do, it was not a great performance in places. Some of the passing was poor. I say sometimes failure to get the second balls. I thought Taylor, and went off the ball in the second half. And actually, we weren't anywhere near clinical enough when we had chances. And creating chances is one thing, but you've got to start putting them away. So, as much as I agree on Ida, I thought he did a lot of good stuff today, good positions, and goals will come when he's doing that. I thought today was a bit, we just lacked that clinical edge when we really needed it. But I think overall, those players performed to a good level given the circumstances. I do, to use Jerry's favourite word, to caveat that with saying that we were under really difficult circumstances. So I would like to think that Rodgers will say, look, taking all things into consideration, we're still the same amount of points behind we were before the weekend. It's still in our hands. We've still got the big game against Rangers to play. There's every chance, Rangers, or us for that matter, could drop more points. So this title race is very much still to be run. And I think it will go down to the wire. So I would hope Rodgers will acknowledge that. And I do think there's food for thought. I think he has to look to find a formula. Now, particularly with Yang being out, we're maybe lacking that creative outlet on that right-hand side. So do we go back to the well we couldn't? Do we bring James Forrest back? Do we switch Maeda over? What do we do? And Palmaker's back in. So there'll be certainly food for thought for Brendan. But I would like to think that, unlike some of the performances this season, this one feels a wee bit like a free hit.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and it's horrendous to get beat. I hate getting beat. As I said, I hated getting beat when we'd won the league under Martin O'Neill and he played an understrength side and we got beat. I get disappointed regardless of the scenario if Celtic get beat in any form. Craig A, 2 harsh decisions. Calmack missing, beaten on VAR, lost his battle, war still to be won. Bring it on. That's my view on it. That's my attitude, Craig. You're speaking my language today. Listen, that's just my opinion. Let us know your opinion in the comments section. AGSC Tech, 2 weeks now to the next SPFL game. That's a lifetime given this season. Yeah, of course, we've got the cup game against Livingston. Rangers have theirs against Hibs, and also Europa League action against Benfica as well. Donny, tiny hands. Rodgers is finished as a manager. I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of that this season, Chris, right? And you try your best to say, well, what's happened this season that is Rodgers' fault? What's happened this season that was beyond his control? Finish as a manager. If he wins the league, is he still Celtic's manager next season, Chris, for you? Bearing in mind that there's been a wee shake-up in the last week. We've heard about the resignation, the gardening leave of Mark Lowell. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we spoke about changing manager during a season and how that can impact the team, against changing the head of recruitment and how that could impact the team. What do you reckon?
I think if he wins the league under the perceived circumstances, with all the stuff going on in the recruitment, which seems to be partially acknowledged with Mark Lowell and Joe Dudgeon going, I think he puts it in his hands whether he wants to continue. If he wins the league, I think he would be given the option to stay. If he doesn't win the league, I think it'd be very, very difficult for him to continue. And I think the only way they would be able to continue is if we get more transparency about the challenges the team and the club have faced this year, in terms of recruitment, in terms of getting players in that he wants, the amount of money being available to spend, things like that. I think that would be the only saving grace if we weren't to win this league. If Rodgers and the club combined came out and said, yeah, you know what, there was a lot of stuff didn't happen this year, or we couldn't do this, or we couldn't do that. The problem is when you don't get that transparency, all you can judge a manager on is the results on the park. And from a very simple point of view, if he doesn't win this, what I still think is a very critical league title, then I wouldn't expect him to continue. And I don't think there'd be great fan appetite for him to continue, to be fair, and I'd probably include myself in that. But if he wins the league, and we get, I would hope, a more defined strategy for recruitment and improving the team and utilising the Champions League money that we would hopefully get if we were to win the league. And we could actually see some push towards meaningful progress. And I don't just mean, continuing to win domestically. I mean, actually having, building a team that can compete to some degree in Europe. Then I would probably give him another season.
And I mean, Acsom's team, very much like those in the comments, were divided upon Brendan Rodgers coming to the club. I don't think it blinds you if things are not going well. But today, I'm not putting it in the same bracket as the games that we've drawn against the likes of Hibs at Easter Road, which was dreadful. The game that we got beat against Kilmarnock at home, we got beat against Kilmarnock and then Hearts at home. I thought these games we were dreadful. And I'm looking for answers at that point. Today, not so much. I really am not going to be having a knee-jerk reaction tonight against that, as disappointed as I am. I am as fickle as most fans, says Ewan, but now is the time to get behind the team and the manager. We will win this league. I still believe that we will win the league, and we'll keep asking for predictions. I mean, football fans have done that time immemorial. They've always done it. They've always done it.
I've got worse
Every single game of football, you're on a supporters bus. You talk about how it's going to go, leading up to your work. You talk about predictions. Happy with Ida, says Paul Leinster. So was I today. I thought he worked his socks off. Joe McAlinden, welcome to the show. Celtic lost a game with 10 men. Rangers lost the game with 11. Yeah, absolutely.
Shots fired. I like it. Yeah.
Loopy 33, often seen on the comment section. Ida, O'Reilly and Maida were run off their feet. I thought they put in a hell of a lot of work. And of course, you look about Yang coming at the side, showing a bit of form, winning his jersey, and now he's going to have a suspension. Who do you play? Paul reckons Palma on the right, Maeda on the left. I think there's maybe a suggestion that Kyogo's playing himself back into this team, but maybe not as the head of the attack. Jean Paul II, never underestimate the champions of Scotland. And we've also got AJ WTF. His arm was actually on the way up, but still naturally. And David Stalker, I ain't supporting the manager now. The players are not playing for Rodgers. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't think that's the case. I think that we weren't even that off it today. I just think you're down to 10 men. You're missing your captain. Dodgy penalty. I'm not looking for excuses. I'm just not going to jump on this sack Rodgers bus. I can't do it at this moment, Chris.
We scored 7 goals on Wednesday. You can't be telling me the players aren't playing for the manager. They scored 7 goals.
And then they come back against Motherwell. It was 2 games on the bounce.
The evidence doesn't support it. And look, if you sack the manager just now, you get John Kennedy to the end of the season. Right? It's just a fact. There's managers that are going to come in at this point in the season with this much at stake. It would be a thankless task for a manager. So you're looking at someone for the backroom team to step up, probably John Kennedy. So think less about who's going out and think about who would be coming in, right? Because that backroom coaching team have been there through success. They've been there through the 10-in-a-row season that we lost. They have, and they've been there through multiple managers, right? So changing the manager at this point ain't going to change the formula, right? Because it's the same guys, it's continuity, it's consistency. Change the manager now makes no sense. Sorry. So look, I get it. I get the frustration with what we've seen on the park this season. I get the frustration at the result today, but this is the team, this is a manager that are going to take us to the end of the season, come what may. And I think, as a Celtic fan, once those guys pull on the hoops and get out on that park, I'm behind them. And until the manager gives me reason to absolutely not support him, which could be losing the league at the end of the season, I'm behind him for this point in time. I'm not a Rodgers fanboy, as I've said. I'm not a happy clapper. I'm hugely frustrated with the club this season. I'm hugely frustrated with the board recruitment, some of the manager's actions, absolutely. But we've got, about 10 games now to get this over the line. And they're the guys that we need to trust to do it. Okay? Next season could be completely different. Whatever. This season, it's on them.
Will Rangers drop points between now and the end of the season in games not involving Celtic? Well, yesterday showed that they will. Will Celtic? Possibly. And how have we fared against one another? Well, I think that's massive, and that's another massive reason why Brendan Rodgers, when it comes down to it, can win games like that. 67 jinx, 2 bad decisions cost us, not a bad performance. We'll still win this league. I agree. Never give up, man, says Peter King. Aero 250, I'm not concerned. If the well can go to the debt dome and win, we can go there and smash them. Why not? Why not, says I. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. It's been an absolute pleasure. Keep calling out the trolls that are coming in, who obviously have forgotten that their team got bumped yesterday at home. Thank you all, 2,000 strong. Never ever happy after a defeat, but I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say. I really, really enjoyed that. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. As always, 2,000 strong. If you want to get involved on a live show with Celtic, Acsom rather, then all the ticket links are underneath. We've got Paddy McCourt coming to Gracie's. We've got Martin O'Neill coming to Bad. That one's just about sold out. If you want to come and get involved, these nights are fantastic. All that's left for me to say, thank you once again, Chris McElwain, for joining me on a Celtic State of Mind.
Thanks, Paul.